everybody. I hope that you are well, and I also hope that you are doing or having a good day. Today, we'll be doing our grade 4 English lesson on antonyms. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once we log on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of English Language Arts. All right, so we see that we are doing grade 4 English lesson, and we are going to aplusstudents.ca. We're going to log on with our username and password, and then we're going to scroll down to grade 4. Once we've logged on to grade 4, and then we're going to go to antonyms, and antonyms is a continuation of our previous lesson. Antonyms. All right, so like I said, this is a continuation of our previous lesson on antonyms. And we said our chapter is antonyms. Our subject is English language arts. We're doing grade 4, and the lessons that we are going to be focusing on under the chapter of antonyms is which sentences uses an antonym, or uses antonyms. And we're going to find antonyms in context. That is going to be our lessons for today. And we said antonyms are words with the opposite meaning. So antonyms are words with the opposite meaning. So we have a word, and this is what the word means. But now antonyms, right, has an opposite meaning. All right. For example, Big. If something is not big, we can say it is little. Something is not big, we say it is little. If we look at a few words, right, a few more words that is opposite in meaning, what is the opposite? The word that is opposite in meaning of white. It's either white or it's or we can say it's either black or it's So I'm going to write down a few words and then you are going to give me the opposite word in meaning of this, of the antonym. If something is not heavy, and then it is what? It's either I hide you or I you. It's either always or mm, I'm asleep or wide. What is the words that is opposite in meaning of these words? We have white. What is opposite of white? Something is not white, it is what? Yes, so if it's not white, it's black. Well done. Heavy or light? Yes, well done. Something is not heavy, it is light. Asleep or wide awake? Hide. Hide or what? It's either I hide something or someone. Not find. So not find. Hide. Or we can show. Right? So we can show. What is another word or the opposite of always? It's either always or I'm always going to do this or I'm gonna do this. All right. And these are words with the opposite meaning. It's like you have a word and then we have the opposite of that word, right? Yes, so always or never. So it's either always or never. Yes, well done. Never. Remember, it's the opposite of it. So it's either always, the opposite of always is never. So well done. What is another few words? Something is extremely rough, or it is start or mm. You are either tall or you are, not soft, not soft, rough. Something is rough. Or we can say it is smooth. To start or to what? It's either I'm starting the race or I am All right. So these are okay, start and finish. So start and finish. So start and finish, right? So these are but a few examples of antonyms, and we said antonyms are words with the opposite meaning. Means one thing, we have one word, but then our other word or the meaning of that other word is the opposite of what that is. And that is why we said black and white, heavy or light, hide or show, always or never. It's the opposite of one another. Asleep or you wide awake, rough or smooth, start or finish. It's either I'm tall or I'm short. All right. You may ask a question. You can ask the question. All right. So now I'm going to underline a few words and then you are going to find or select the antonym of that word, right? The antonym of the word. So here we have two sentences each, right? So I'm going to underline a word and then you're going to find the opposite of that word in the next sentence. All right. So we need to look at these words, right? Did you lose your mitten at the playground? So these three words that I just underlined, we need to find the opposite word or the opposite, what that means, the opposite meaning of it in the next sentence. As you can see, there's two sentences each, or at least one sentence with a comma. It says, I hate to see others feeling sick. I hate to see others feeling sick. You may ask a question. What is not the opposite? I'm lost. Like, what do you mean? What is not the opposite? It says you says it makes no sense because it's kind of not the opposite. It's kind of, well, I don't kind of guess. No, the opposite. What do you mean? Which one is not the opposite? Rough and smooth. You see now, when something is rough, right? Then it's basically like we would say it is not smooth, right? That is why we're saying rough. The opposite of rough is smooth because just think of if something is rough, it's more like the shape or the surface of something is uneven. It's not leveled, it's not smooth. That is why we say the opposite of rough is smooth, because if something is rough and then it's like the surface or something, it is not leveled, it is not smooth. And that is why we say the opposite then is smooth, because if something is rough, then it is not smooth. Even with hide, remember, if you are hiding something, right? Think of social media where they are hiding their babies, the face of the baby, right? So if they're hiding the face of the baby, the opposite of hiding is to show something. It's either I hide it. Remember, if I hide something, then I don't want anybody to see it. But now, if I want somebody to see it, then I take out that thing that I hid and then I show it. You see, so that is where the opposite comes in. It's either I hide it away from anybody to see it, or I then show it to somebody, right? Does that is it still confusing? You see, that is why we say rough and smooth, because something that is rough is not smooth. And you need sandpaper to smoothen that thing that is rough. And to hide something means that somebody cannot see it because it's hidden. But if I don't want to hide it and then I show it to someone, all right, as long as you understand, then I'm happy. All right, so we're going to continue, right? So we're going to look at the word that I underlined, right? And we're going to find the opposite the word that is opposite in meaning of that word within the same sentence. So if you look at the next sentence, you need to find the opposite of that word. It says, I hate to see others feeling sad. So I hate to see others feeling sad. I would love to be a doctor or a nurse one day. All right, as long as you get it now, all right? And you understand then. But anytime you need to ask a question, then you can ask anytime. But just I'm happy that you asked. So I hate to see others feeling sick. I would love to be a doctor or nurse one day. What is the opposite of hate that you'll find in this sentence? The opposite of hate. So we need to find the opposite of hate within that same sentence. And if we were to choose the opposite of hate, then we would say, I hate to see others feeling sick. I would love to be a doctor or nurse one day. Yes, well done. Love is the opposite of hate. So well done. The next one says, I may forget people's names, but I always remember faces. I may forget people's names, but I always remember faces. We need to find the opposite of forget. The opposite of forget. All right, no problem. I may forget people's names, but I always remember. Opposite of forget is to remember people's faces. So well done. Yes, remember is correct. So well done. And then the next one says, did you lose your mitten at the playground? You had better find it before before it snows again. All right. So lose. So did you lose your mitten at the playground? You had better find. So the opposite of find is lose. Opposite of lose is find. Well done. All right. So now we're going to A plus students.ca. We're going to our test before we end our lesson. We said which sentences uses an antonyms. We're first going to look at a few activities or three sentences of activities, and then we're going to our test. It's common to see Jane helping out at the animal shelter. What is the opposite of common? If something is not common. All right. So the opposite of common, it's common to see Jane helping out at the animal shelter, or we can say it is unusual. The opposite of common, right? All right, so let us go to our test where we are going to say which sentence uses an antonym. Which sentence uses an antonym? We need to select the sentence that uses an antonym in place of the word in bold. It says Rona hopes to receive many cards on Valentine's Day this year. Receive. Do we say option one, Rona hopes to make mini cards, or option two, she hopes to send mini cards. The opposite of receive. What is the opposite of receive? All right, the opposite of receive, we can say Rona hopes to send many cards on Valentine's Day. Yes, well done. Option two is correct. Send is correct. The cupboards in Mrs. Brady's kitchen are quite messy inside. Messy. The cupboards in Mrs. Brady's kitchen are quite messy inside. Is it option one, it is quite damp inside, or it is quite neat inside? What is the opposite of messy? Is it damp or neat? We need to find the opposite of messy. All right. And the opposite of messy is neat. Yes. If something is not neat and clean, then it is messy. If something is not messy, then it is clean and neat. So well done. The sheriff had a smile on his face as he rode away on his horse. Smile. What is the opposite of smile? Is it option one, the sheriff had a frown on his face, or option two, the sheriff had a mask on his face? The opposite of smile. And if we were to find the opposite of smile, then we go with option one. Yes, well done. It is to frown. Either you smile or you frown. Mr. Ramsey likes to exercise downstairs. What is the opposite of downstairs? What is the opposite of downstairs? Is it option one, often, or option two, upstairs? The opposite. All right. And the opposite of downstairs is upstairs. Exercise upstairs. All right. So now we're going to find antonyms in context, right? We need to find antonyms in context. It says, do you think this silk shirt is ugly? I think that it is quite pretty. We need to look at the second sentence to find the opposite of the word that is in bold. It says, do you think this silk shirt is ugly? I think that it's quite pretty. I think that it's quite pretty. So we need to look at this sentence over here in order to find the opposite, the word that is the opposite of ugly. Here it says, do you think the shirt is ugly? Right? So now we need to look at this word ugly and find the word that is opposite of ugly within the next sentence that says, I think that it is quite pretty. So we now need to find what is the word that is opposite of ugly. So we say, do you think the silk shirt is ugly? I think that it is quite pretty. So pretty it is. All right, it is the mysterious woman didn't tell didn't tell me her name, and I didn't ask. What is the opposite of tell? Look at the next sentence. The opposite of tell. All right, and the opposite of tell is ask. It's either I'm telling you something or I ask you something, but opposite. All right, so this is now the end of our lesson on antonyms. We said antonyms are words with the opposite meaning of what it means. For example, if something is rough, it is smooth. Something is not rough, it is smooth. It's either I hate you, the opposite of hate is I love you. All right, so this is the end of our lesson. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining the class for interacting. And I hope you have a better understanding of what antonyms are. So, till next time, have a good weekend further. Goodbye. All right. Goodbye. Have a good weekend, guys. Goodbye.